Thanks, Basil. I just want to give you a bit of an insight into the Saturday afternoon team. We're a bunch of unique individuals.
Hello and welcome to episode 19 of the Unique Individuals podcast. Good to have all the boys alongside me today. How are we doing, guys?
Howdy, let's get ready. I'm ready to go. No. I am ready to go.
Oh, we're within the first 15 seconds and we've already had a bit of a blunder, but it's good to be back and the ticker's still ticking, so.
Yeah, good to be here.
Yeah, good to be here, boys. Let's get into it.
Now, Blair, you're alongside us today, which is good. Unfortunately, you weren't with us last week, but how are you feeling today?
Yeah, obviously, last week I was just here in spirit. Probably grateful I wasn't here. The amount of slander and shit I copped. And that's within the first 10 minutes of the pod. I couldn't listen to any further. So, no, it's good to be back. Had a little appointment, a little check-up for the little ticker. But, no, it's going okay. So, moving on to greener pastures and shouldn't have to go back to Heartscope Thomastown anytime soon. So, looking forward to it.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, we'll get into, I guess, what's been happening with us recently in the last week. We'll start off with Connor. Mate, yourself back at workers again. Nothing uncommon there. And last night, actually, I had your footy season launch along with Hugo. How was that?
Yeah, not too bad. I mean, I haven't been up to a great deal, but footy season launch was good. Pretty standard, just like an hour-long event, hour and a half, and it's just talk to committee members and that sort of stuff. So wasn't too bad. And workers was a bit more subdued as normal. I didn't get to go on stage. Actually, I did for a bit, but then we all got...
You couldn't even see him in the back, though. He was just...
Yeah, I wasn't... Well...
He wanted the solo stage, and he just wasn't getting it. They were letting any man and his dog up there.
Yeah, they let everyone up, and then they kicked everyone off because he wasn't doing his job properly, and he got a bit stressed, so... but yeah, it didn't... I don't know. It was just a pretty standard one.
Pretty average.
Nothing... Yeah, pretty average, really.
Did they start your own... did you start your own Donda chant again?
No, I've never started my own Donda chant. I'm just a man of the people. They chant me and get around me, so they love the energy, and I just sort of go along with it. But look, I haven't really done much. This, like I said, season launch was good, and looking forward to getting in the year. Only a couple of weeks away now, so very excited. And what have you boys been up to?
Well,
that sums it up.
I'll just bring it back to me then, Connor, because I'll kind of
sorry,
direct.
you been up to much?
I'll just direct things here.
Geez, that's a bit of me time as well there.
We move on to Hugo. Mate, you had the footy season launch yourself as well. How was that for you?
Yeah, it was good. There was a good butter chicken there last night that Rhonda struggled to eat. Don't
stitch me up with the bud chicken.
It was a shocking effort from him, but that's all right.
I ate it. It was nice, but say it.
Yeah, well, it took you an hour and a half to eat it, though.
Yeah, well, it was a little bit spicy. So I can't handle any sort of heat, and
It was very mild.
yeah, but my taste buds are just different to other people, and I don't care what people say. It's I don't know. It happens. It was very nice food, but look, it got a tiny bit spicy at times. Not enough to go like choke up and go like that, but it was a little bit mild. Yeah.
All right.
Did it come out of the wazoo?
The wazoo. I don't know what you mean by that. No, I didn't. Yeah, it didn't get too sloppy that night.
This is anyway. Hugo, moving on to from the footy launch hasn't went great. So Bevo presser, mate, had that. Connor and I, we want to hear about this because I think there's only one word to say: we're nervous. We're nervous. They're calm. We're really nervous. Bevo's an intimidating man, and for those that don't know, Hugo went along to his press conference the other day.
Yeah, no, it was good. I walked right by. He walked right by me. He's tiny, but he's also got massive guns, so I was scared. I did hide behind the cameras, so he couldn't pick me out for anything. But he was good. It's funny. He was very tight-lipped on the old selection, like he was with Tommy Morris. But he played a dead bat for most of the press, but he was good. It was a good experience.
Yeah, and I was going to say you probably go into a bit nervous considering he's just dropped another tall, lanky man in Sam Darcy. So you would have been a bit nervous about yourself, mate, that he wouldn't give you an uppercut right arm.
Well, like I said, I was hiding behind the cameras.
No gutter journalism from you?
No, didn't ask any questions. I spoke when only spoken to. I was very there, but not to be seen.
Now, you said they dropped Sam Darcy, and obviously you were there Did they get you in on the training session or something like that, and you absolutely clamped him up like you did back in the junior days, and that's why he wasn't playing?
No, I think they just uncovered some footage of me dominating. No, jokes.
But no, good stuff, Hugo. Yeah, well done for surviving the Bevo presser.
And the assignment's in.
And the assignment's in, so he's ahead. Connor and Blair have a presser with Bevo against when they play Richmond. I think that's in a week or two time.
next week.
I think it might be next Wednesday, but not sure the exact date yet.
It's a
Yeah.
better conflict of interest.
Lecturer hasn't
type
given
stuff.
us the details.
Yeah, he's probably going to say how we've opened up his club and preyed on him. He probably will say that, but look, yeah, it is a fair conflict of interest there.
You'll be right.
We're in the same shoes as Tommy Morris, you know, supporting the team that they're playing against. It's
Yeah.
who knows.
Well, I've got Vossi round 6 press conference, so I think I'll be all right.
Yeah, Vossi's tame,
Intimidating, but I've seen how he talks to the press, so he's not too bad if you're on his side.
Yeah, he's a reasonably good bloke, better bloke than Bevo, so he should be
Man.
right.
Oh, I see. If that gets out, if
Bevo hears that, mate, you're
You're scared. You should be
you're-
scared, mate.
You're in some
I don't-
trouble.
I'll send it to him the night before.
I'll be right. So,
Okay.
yeah, do that. Yeah, I'll take you on.
Now, Mansell, you once again into your umpiring. Last weekend actually, umpired at Mars Stadium, was it? How was that,
in
mate?
Ballarat. Yeah, it was not too bad of a drive actually. It was an hour and a half. I thought it was going to be a bit longer, but I got through it unscathed. So
Well, that's
no, it
amazing.
was VFLW clash between the Dogs and Casey. Never been out there before, and it was a good experience. You know, to get the first game under your belt, especially at an AFL ground. Like the facilities were just crazy, and just walking out there, you were sort of starstruck in a way. But yeah,
They looked after you umpires down in the rooms, or
yeah, they did. They had all big spaces, everything like that. It was almost reminiscent of a player change rooms, pretty much. Like it had all the facilities there, and
all the bells and whistles.
it's definitely the first rooms I've seen with ice baths and everything like that. But yeah, it was.
I've got a little bone to pick here, actually, Rhonda. Before you do,
Here we go.
Mansell mentions the ice baths, right? We know he takes preparation seriously. Preparation is key for him, and he's not messing around on his road to the AFL umpiring. But I beg the question: how far does preparation go when he stands in the goal square all day and thinks he is worthy and requires an ice bath after the game? And I got sources. Sources have said that Mansell stripped down to the core and got in the ice bath after the game.
I don't know what your sources are or anything like that, but whoever it is, I think I need to keep them tight-lipped, especially considering we've got training tonight. I might need to, have a bit of a heart-to-heart with some of them and, let them know where their place is.
So,
Cause,
Mansell, you admit there was an ice bath then, so
Yeah.
it happened.
Are you
Oh,
proud
smash
of? Are you proud of that?
of course I am. Well, I wouldn't have done it otherwise if I wasn't proud of it.
Yeah.
What?
I guess there must have just been a few out in the falls where he had to really get on the jog and
There was
pulled up a
actually.
bit sore.
There was actually.
There are a couple of,
I'm sure the body was
false
sore. I was sure he had a few corkies and
I did.
all that stuff. Ice baths don't do anything. They're scientifically proven they don't even help. So
What, have you done one yourself?
it's a placebo effect, mate. And Latrobe Uni change rooms have ice baths as well. So so we're as good as Mars Stadium.
No, it was probably the lactic acid build up and it sort of got you in the calves.
Yeah,
But,
definitely.
it happens, and I just did other umpires consider to do it, or it was just
He
you.
said he was the only one there.
I want to say it was a full
Contingent.
compliment, but yeah, no, I waited there for about 20 minutes to start, and then was in there and couldn't even get it the whole way because it was because it would have taken ages to fill up. But yeah, I just sat there helplessly on my phone and in a puddle of water pretty much. So
Cold one at that.
That sounds really, really grim. That in a puddle of water, like
Bit
you're trying
of-
to drown yourself, mate. Like, don't go that
bit of
far.
sound of silence in the background, but
Oh gosh.
Just sitting there helplessly in a puddle of water. Oh, it's a big grim,
darkness,
mate.
my old friend.
Don't start singing,
I
Mansell.
know your song.
Don't start.
And I mean, while
Don't.
we're putting Mansell in the hot seat, I have another bone to pick. A couple of weeks ago now, you brought up and laughed at my tweet from, and we're going back a month now, and yeah, I will say it's desperate. It was a desperate tweet. And look, I'm not necessarily proud of it. However, I guess when you go to my Twitter profile right now, Mansell, what you'll find is I have 57 followers.
There you go.
You have 54. What do you have to say about that, man? So you're lecturing me, laughing at me for my tweets and saying I'm that desperate I need followers. I'm just rolling in followers at the moment, mate. And you're, probably been on the platform a couple of years longer than me and maybe a few more tweets and, picking up the slack.
See, here's the thing, right, is I don't ask for people to follow me. I just let it happen.
Well, it doesn't happen.
Well, I just let it happen in due course. I don't need a lifeline to say, oh, help me, please, help me. Oh, help me.
I'll back up Mansell a little bit here. Mansell joined in Feb of 2021. Blair joined in May of 2020. So you've had more time to really develop your skills and get a few followers. And yeah, there was a few pleas for help from yourself a few weeks back.
I've had 205 tweets, Mansell,
is reasonably
442. Who's pleading for help?
But I'm delivering content, so...
Content that's getting ripped apart by J-Mac.
Boys, it's not really competition, all right? We'll just settle down. We'll just settle down. It's just about
Yeah, I've got a bone to pick
getting
with that, man,
experience and becoming, big sort of in the world of news and becoming a journo. It's not about status necessarily. So let's just settle down a bit.
I love the J-Mac comment.
But,
J-Mac, if you're listening right now, Mansell, you're on his hitman list.
Yeah, just watch out. I mean, the days you're at uni and he is just,
Stay away,
clear
J-Mac.
of
Look
the
the other
agora.
way.
Just stay
Put
away.
your head down and...
If Mansell's getting lunch in the food theatre, don't go and get your chicken and chips. That's all I'll say. But, so that's all I think I rest my case at that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been good to be back.
I guess we can move on to sport talk then. Mansell, take it away.
Thank you. I don't know how to respond to that, but yeah, no. So round 2 on the weekend, obviously, we covered Thursday night's game between Carlton and Geelong. I actually said it right this time, not the Carlton and the Blues. But yeah, they, we have a look at, start off with Friday night and, we had some interesting circumstances towards the end of the game. It looked like a normal game, like Brisbane were going to get it done. And, someone forgot to call Energy Australia because the power plant was up. And, boys, I mean, it's only really happened once, in the footy stratosphere. But, you want to debrief the situation for me? We'll start off with Blair.
Yeah, obviously watching along. Incredibly rattled when it just went dark. I thought, is this a fault of the camera? What's occurred here? It was someone was playing on, and all of a sudden you just couldn't see anything. And I was actually watching in one of the study rooms in NASA, and I was just like, geez, it's. And the first thing that come to mind was, what an incredibly dark night for Melbourne. Which I followed suit and actually tweeted that. Saw it got a lot of engagement, actually. And then followed up again. I went on a serial tweeting massacre, I guess you could say. And I'll just enlighten the viewers of a couple of my tweets. I thought they were not bad. Quite literally a dark night for the Melbourne Football Club.
I think this is self-indulgence.
Hello, darkness, my old friend, with a picture of Gorney shedding tears. And bless Gorney. I saw him a few days prior and had a chat to him. Because we're pretty tired. And the commentators, players and crowd are all in the dark at the moment, I guess. But no, it wasn't great, man. So was it really? I mean, we saw a little flame up in the lights. You see like flashing lights and, vehicles outside the stadium trying to get it back going. And I think both teams would have agreed at the time to call it really. I mean, D's were probably out of anyone trying to push to get back on, try and narrow that percentage as they did, which was quite an incredible turnaround. Does anyone want to talk about that? Because obviously it was quite a, I don't know how long the delay was, but
yeah, it was 38 minutes the delay was.
Yeah, there you go. And it's a long time. Like, I guess everyone was thinking, geez, you hope no one gets injured here when they come back out. But they got back underway and geez, they only need a couple more minutes really.
Oh yeah, I mean, after about 10 minutes I went to bed after the light went out. I was like, can't be bothered. Brisbane are going to win.
Lights out, like quite literally.
Yeah.
Like, might flick mine off.
Yeah, but no, I was surprised to wake up in the morning and find out Melbourne only lost by 10. Like, they did quite well to come back from what I saw in the highlights, but yeah.
Yeah, look, bizarre situation, you know. It doesn't happen very often, and yeah, I didn't know what was going on for a bit there. I thought the lighting of the Channel 7 was dodgy, or like that someone had the hand over the camera at the start, but then I realised that it was no good. Power was gone, so yeah, they come back out. When they come back out, Melbourne come out to play, and Brisbane had just sort of dozed off. So yeah, they were only a few minutes away from losing it. So I mean, if that didn't happen, Brisbane probably would have just went on their merry way. So you can say it's been unlucky from that point of view, but yeah, Melbourne, albeit the loss, they would have been happy to get back out there and take the margin back to just a couple goals.
And yeah, you go from like 40, 50 points to like 10, 11 points. It's come like September when percentage matters. Games like that, like that's important. So yeah, D's despite the loss, it's basically like a win, really.
Yeah, I mean, I knew that. I knew that even though the D's had an amazing comeback, that they wouldn't win. But yeah, like you said, the percentage would definitely help later on in the year. But yeah, when it happened, I was I wasn't watching the whole game. I kind of turned it on at around midway through the third quarter. I was just like, got nothing else to do, so I'll just watch the game. But I knew straight away that it was a lighting problem because you could hear the bang in the background. Then you just heard JB go, "Oh no, oh no," and BT cut off whilst he was talking, which was pretty funny. But I was going to say, it's happened before at the Gabba. There was a Big Bash game going a few years back, Brisbane Heat versus Sydney Thunder, I think, when Shane Watson hit 100 that game. But the lights went out and the match was abandoned. So it's happened before at the Gabba. And just like Blair, I was on Twitter that night and I was saying, imagine if this happened in September during the finals. Imagine if the lights went out at the MCG or something like that. And, how a lot of people throwing out the idea of whether or not the grand final should be, scheduled at night. I mean, just imagine if that happened, So I think it kind of ends the debate of, let's just stick it to a twilight or afternoon grand final. But yeah, really bizarre scenes. And yeah, amazing comeback to get it to within a couple of kicks. But Brisbane were dominant the whole game pretty much, other than the last 10 minutes of the game.
Yeah. Is this my cue to get my tweets up too? Because
man, so you can't tweet on AFL.
yeah, exactly.
Nah, but it was just crazy, really. Like when situations like that, and you see all the commentators, everyone there, the players, the coaches, no one knows what's going on. There's people on the phone everywhere for half an hour. It's just chaotic, really. Like no one, like I knew as much as BT did in that moment, and JB, like they had no idea what was going on. They were trying to, get confirmation of what happens, how long they have to be off. And then you saw Fags come out after and have a bit of a whinge, I think it's fair to say, about the D's being out in the ground first, and it's sort of attributed that to the comeback. However, it sort of makes common sense. D's probably want to get back out there, whereas Brisbane are probably sort of like, we're up by nearly 10 goals. We're not in a rush to get back out in the ground.
So what's been reported on that? There was a report that came out. Heard it yesterday actually. So what happened is there was one guy who was on the phones, trying to sort out the situation. He called up, the Melbourne representative and said, we're about to get on the field. We're about to sort of get started. Jump, you can jump on the field, and then he was about to ring Brisbane up, and in between there was a call from the energy, something about the power issue. So he was on the phone about that, and in the meantime, Melbourne have come out and Brisbane are waiting there, waiting for their cue to go out, and then that's why they came out about 3 minutes later. But yeah, obviously, the power situation was interesting. But obviously, one of the big talking points from the game as well was Max Gawn. He's out for 4 to 6 weeks with an MCL injury, I believe. As I do, I did some stats, crunched the numbers, so you might say. Obviously, Brody Grundy rucked for the rest of the game, right? Gordon, maybe if he had one or two ruck contests and that. Brodie Grundy had 45 hitouts, which, yes, was more than Fort and McInerney combined. They had 42. But that being said, only 5 of those hitouts were to advantage. That's 1 in 9 were to advantage, which is the lowest rate that someone's had since Sam Draper, round 2022. He went at 5.7%. So we're talking very low numbers. So my question to you guys is that a worrying sign for Melbourne fans with going out for 4 to 6 weeks? Does that say anything about how they'll go? Can they turn the tide with Brodie Grundy at the helm?
Yeah, I think it's definitely worrying, like, that Gawn's gone. I think in saying that, lots of people probably did breathe a bit of a sigh of relief to know that it wasn't all year, because an ACL was quite potential. He's done these before, Gawny, but I think, like, while you could look at that and that Brodie Grundy stat and all that, obviously it's not ideal, but I mean that's probably his first real, like, in the new system. Probably I'd say it's a positive that they've got him there, really. Looking at the side without Brodie Grundy, then Melbourne probably are in trouble. But I think he'll improve on that and, get more as the sort of season progresses, especially if he's got to completely adapt to that full ruck role. I think he'll get used to it a bit, but yeah.
Yeah, I think, and even in the next 6 weeks, Melbourne have got 4 very winnable games. Their only 2 question marks will be against Richmond and the Swans. So I think it's not as much as a worry as Blair said. New system for Grundy. It'll take a little bit of time to get used to. I'm not sure if Shaki's injured, but they can bring in Shaki, and Shaki can be that second ruck.
Shaki, I believe, is injured.
Oh, okay, well, they can't bring in Shaki then. Tommy McDonald can do a little bit of rucking to help out Grundy. So I don't think it's too bad of an option, but yeah, I think Grundy, give him a couple of weeks and he'll get right back into it.
And Jacob Van Ruin is making his debut this week for Sydney, against Sydney. He's a tall forward who can also play ruck. Connor.
Yeah, no, he's a good player. Jacob Van Ruin. I've seen him play a lot of VFL and dominated last year. So
did he play Sandford, Jacob Van Ruin, or
he may have before he got drafted. I don't know where he's. No. I don't actually know where he's from, but like with the Gawny situation, it obviously looked pretty bad at the start when he's just sitting in the change room, pretty dejected, and he wouldn't have known, but he would have feared the worst. So yeah, it's a positive that's 4 to 6, and this is sort of what they brought in Brodie Grundy for. He's got the potential now to really help the midfield, and I don't feel the hitouts to advantage and the percentages were any particular issue. So I think he'll just get better with those midfielders, especially over the next sort of 4 to 6 weeks, and then when Gawn comes back, when Grundy's needed for that role as the ruck, him and the midfield will be able to mix better, given that he's already he would have played with the midfield for a bit longer. So I don't think it's a particular worry, and good relief for the D's to know that Gawn's gone for potentially just a month.
Yeah, well, if they get through this next 6 weeks without Gawn and they have a decent win-loss record and they get a few wins that they need, come later in the year when Gawn's back and so's Grundy, and then Grundy's really accustomed to playing the ruck role as well, I think it's sort of, there is a positive to it.
So you're saying a case of short-term pain, long-term gain, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think so, because I think it would be worrying if you were thinking we're not getting Gawn back. All the supporters know, 4 to 6, he'll be back. He'll be back in the side, and he'll be back for the end of the season that matters. So I think it's not too bad.
Yeah. Thoughts on?
Oh yeah, not to worry. Melbourne are a strong side. They'll get over this little hurdle. It's a big miss, but it's start of the year, so it's not like September. It's just around the corner. But yeah, Melbourne are that strong of a side that they'll be able to manage. And yeah, I don't see it to be too big of an issue. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Now we'll move on to Saturday afternoon. Collingwood Port, what looked to be on paper as as an absolute blockbuster. Collingwood got the job done by 71 points. I just want to say a couple of things. I had a look at a few stats, and I didn't crunch these numbers this time because I got them given to me. But if we look at round 23 against Carlton 2022. We're looking at contested possession differential, right? Obviously, Collingwood managed to get over the line in that game. But they were minus 54 on contested possessions. We look at round 2. We look at Saturday's game, and they were plus 57. So that's over like a 110 possession swing. They were 17th in the competition for for clearances last year, and are now I believe, they are second. Obviously, it was. I'll get your thoughts on it, Connor, because I know you're at the game. Obviously, how do you see this Collingwood outfit at the moment?
71 points.
Yeah, when I said what I'd done in the past week or something, I sort of forgot about this one, but I was there. Look, they look very impressive. Collingwood, you don't like to say it, how good they looked, but especially the first half and in particular the second quarter, they looked really good. And it looks like in the early part of this year that they've refined parts of their game that leave sort of less to chance, and they can kind of blow teams out of the water earlier. Rather than, those like really close wins last year, they sort of give themselves a better chance earlier. But I don't know, to start the game, it looked like both teams were sort of on. I think Port kicked 3 of the first 5, and they kicked the first one, and they looked like they were going all right. But then sort of towards the back end of that first quarter, I think Collingwood just went bang, 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 and sort of kicked 4 in about that time. And then when you look up at quarter time and you're down by about 4 goals and you haven't played that bad, it's pretty deflating to an opposition. And then from there, they just really got a stranglehold on Port, and they didn't look likely. So, and then, they weren't quite as good in the second half, but, they just sort of won by, they continued to build the lead because the game was sort of just done, a genuine dead rubber. But I don't know, they looked really scary and very good in the second quarter. But I know it's a big statement when Port come out and beat Brisbane easy the week before, and then Collingwood come out and smash Port. So they just smashed in the midfield.
Yeah, totally agree. I think it's hard to say, not being a Collingwood supporter, but they look right up there as genuine contenders for this year's premiership. I mean, they just got so much experience, but not even that. They've also got a lot of young players, and they're one of the best teams to go down the middle, fast ball carry. I still think there are a lot of question marks around Port. We were literally saying last week, they might be back, but they just let themselves down with the big loss against Collingwood. So the inconsistency is not helping Port at the moment. But I think besides from that, Collingwood are looking really strong this year, and they've played the first 2 rounds. They've played Geelong and Port, so 2 good teams there, and they've won quite convincingly. So I mean, Collingwood are, I think, the team to beat this year.
Yeah, and before we go to Blair, it doesn't get any easier. You've got Richmond this week, and then you follow it up with Easter Thursday against Brisbane, and then you've got an informed Saints side, round 5.
Yeah, I was just saying on that, the Pies, obviously they're flying. The thing I put it down, one of the things, we're talking about contested possessions, clearances come with that. You're comparing it to last year. Tom Mitchell, the big up of Tom Mitchell, his 2 games this season, round 1, he got, let's have a look here, 21 touches, 2 goals. He had 14 of his 21 contested, and I think he was up there in the clearances. And then you only look at his the game against Port, obviously pumped him. He led the team again in contested possession, 16.
16,
8 clearances, most on the ground. Another goal, so he's kicked 3 goals across the 2 games. I think hitting the scoreboard as well, contested in and under, clearing the ball. Sort of starts with blokes like him, and obviously the rest of the midfield has been firing as well. Dacos, everyone knows, he's obviously flying. Will he win the Brownlow, Mansell?
I can't say anything on that. That is a big no-no in terms of saying.
It wasn't a setup, I swear, but no.
Gee, you love Tom Mitchell now considering he's in your Supercoach team.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that more later on. But
pretty chuffed with that.
Yeah, but Scott Pendlebury did say on the eve of the season that Tom Mitchell would be playing a different role. You wouldn't be seeing him getting 50 touches in a game like he was back at, say, Hawthorn. They had a need that they needed to fill, and they believed Tom Mitchell was the right person for that. So whether it's that or not, the numbers definitely speak for themselves.
Yeah, well, hitting the scoreboard is something we probably haven't really seen from him as much in the past. And also, his contested possessions, clearances is good, but his kicking and handballing ratio at the moment is not that different. He's getting about similar, so it's not too bad.
Yeah. All right, we'll move on to Adelaide Richmond, and obviously there was a bit of a scare towards the end. Adelaide got within one after Richmond were up by about 40 points, I think, at one stage. But the moment Dusty got subbed out, not saying that was the factor, but the moment got Dusty subbed out, Ryan Mansell kicked a goal and led a 5-goal charge at the end of the game. Obviously, they finished a bit worse for wear, I suppose. They've got a few injuries that they're carrying into Friday night. Start again with you, Connor. As a Richmond man, do you want to elaborate on the game?
Well, they looked really good in the first half. They looked to rectify things from the previous week, use the ball better, and we're up by, I don't know, probably the best part of 7 goals, I reckon, at half time. And then just come out in the third quarter and sort of, let the foot off the gas a bit. And, Roy Laird got going, Adelaide's midfield got going. And, you've already seen Adelaide, they're obviously 0-2, but throughout the 2 games, they've played really good patches of footy where they've scored quick and got it into some of their bigger forwards and also guys like Rochelle, Mick Adam, etc. But, it was disappointing to let them back in. I was quite worried when it got back to a point because they looked to have all the running, on their home deck. They obviously get a lot of support there and they just looked a little bit good sort of in that third quarter. But the way Richmond were able to respond was pleasing, and to run out the game like they did was good. But obviously got a bit banged up. Hopper, it looked like he might have done his knee there for a second, but I don't know what the actual injury was, but he's not playing this week.
Hopefully just a 1 weeker.
Knee injury. Dusty's out.
Out of
had
Supercoach.
hamstring awareness. Yeah, Dusty had hamstring awareness, and apparently he's just out with general soreness now. So shows that he's getting on a bit, and he's had a tough run the last couple of years. So, but
Jaden Short with the calf as well.
Jaden Short with a calf. He only just got up for round 1, so he wasn't right for round 1. So they've given him a bit of a rest. And a few boys, sort of come in a bit banged up coming into the year. So it's not looking the best this week, but it gives guys opportunities for Richmond, like Noah Cumberland, Jack Ross, Sonzi, Ben Miller. They're obviously pretty good footballers, just not really established at the level, but makes it a lot tougher against Collingwood, that's for sure.
Yeah, especially with the defence is pretty depleted, I guess, in some respects. You're missing Gibcus as well, no Tarrant. Yeah,
of course, and Broad, Gibcus, Tarrant, Broad.
Broad won't be playing. Short as well.
Short
as well plays a pretty good role running off there. So that'll be interesting. I guess for me, the best takeaway from the game, obviously, the way we returned from close, tight. We could have got overrun easy. The way we sort of turned the tides and held on, but also Hopper. I know he's missing this Friday, but him and Taranto
played a really good game.
Him and Taranto, Hopper, and him and Taranto have played a couple of incredible games so far. And you only have to look at the stats to see clearances and the contested work, and both of them I think have been in our top 3 players of getting disposals each week. So it's pretty pleasing, those two, and I knew I'd be happy when we picked them up, but I'm very pleased with the way they're playing.
Yeah, it certainly helps the Richmond midfield a lot, and previous years they've struggled to get clearances, and now they've got another string to their bow, so it should pay dividends as the season sort of wears on, and they should be able to score more, get a few more cracks at it, rather than starting it all from their back half.
Yeah, and Owen, I want to get your thoughts. Obviously, I want to get a non-biased view on the situation. But Nathan Broad out for 4 weeks. Do you want to elaborate on?
Yeah, well, 4 weeks for Nathan Broad for his sling tackle. I mean, do I think it's harsh? I think considering that Cozzy Pickett only got 2 weeks, I think it is a bit harsh. But, I think since that Cozzy Pickett incident and how he only got 2 weeks from the MRO, I think the AFL have kind of gone, okay, we got to change our kind of standard here. So I think if a sling tackle is going to be 4 weeks, fine, that's okay. You set the standard, but you got to keep it consistent for more instances to come throughout the season. it's a bit stiff, I think. But again, if you're going to make it consistent and say, okay, this is the benchmark, 4 weeks for a sling tackle, whether the guy's concussed badly or not, that should be it. So, look, it's going to be a big loss for Richmond, I think. And, yeah, you've got a lot of holes down the defence at the moment. But, yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a weird one, but, set the standard and, say to all the players out there, if you're gonna do something like this, this is your punishment. It's gonna, a month of footy. It's a long time out of the game, so I don't mind it, honestly.
Yeah. All right. We'll move on now to the Dogs and the Saints and Hugo. In the background, the Saints are 2-0. There was obviously it was on the socials last night, but the Saints have only allowed 93 points in the first 2 rounds of the season, which they haven't had below 100 since 1970. It's the lowest across the league since 2016, and the lowest for the Saints since 1966 when they won their only premiership.
Flag Saints.
Touch wood.
Real overreaction about the Saints. I suppose.
Overreaction.
I think it's real, to be honest. I'm not surprised by that stat. Like, going into this year, I wasn't surprised at all that we've done so well defensively. When you think about Ross Lyon, you think of a defensive-minded coach. And I think this was Rannan's major downfall as a coach. St Kilda's strength was always their back line. Like I said it last year, St Kilda's back 6 is top 3 in the competition. It's just that with the midfield pressure and the forward line pressure last year in 2021, it was awful, which is why we got belted so much. So when you allow quality clearances from the middle, just like people just walking it in, it didn't allow the defence to really show how good they were. So under a Ross Lyon, forward pressure, midfield pressure, cutting off the corridor, I'm not surprised that we're conceding very few goals at the moment. I think to start the game, we went 99 minutes without conceding a goal from round 1, late in the third quarter to late second quarter, I think it was.
In the second quarter it was.
Yeah. Went 99 minutes without conceding a goal. I'm really not surprised because I do genuinely think St Kilda's back 6 is one of the best in the competition. So you add the pressure there. Mate, you go through the stats. Josh Battle last year.
There've been 2 rounds of football.
I said it last year as well. St Kilda's back 6 is top 3. If you go through the stats and you look at it name by name, Josh Battle last year, for someone who played 17 plus games in defence, had the least amount of goals conceded on him. Callum Wilkie was squad of 40 All-Australian last year. In my opinion, Dougal Howe was probably the 3rd best or 2nd best fullback in the comp. Jack Sinclair, All-Australian. Jimmy Webster's a gun lockdown defender. Nasai Wanganeen-Miller, he creates so much off half-back. Like, I think their defence is quite good.
I would agree and say that, yeah, they're not big names in the way that, like, probably recognised through the comp, but they all do their role. They lock down, and it's probably not that surprising the way they've started. And we know Ross the boss. In any side he's ever coached, that's where it comes first. Defence is sort of how he starts to build the side and win.
Top 3 defence, Hugo's saying? That's a big stretch.
It's a big call, but, I'm
call.
not one to judge right now.
Outrageous,
2 games.
I think it is.
2 games in, I'm just going to wait and see how we go and, go from there. But
I'm not going to rank where their defence sort of lies in the AFL, but it's a relatively strong defence. A lot of them have defence sort of first, and then you got guys like Sinclair, Wanganeen-Miller, who are like a bit more attacking and can provide for them. But it sort of just looks like the challenge will be, can they kick a winning score? Because they haven't scored huge. I mean, 90 odd on the weekend, but before they were struggling to score throughout that game for a lot of it. And first round, they got it done with 67 points, I think. So against better sides, will they be able to kick a winning score? Like, I don't know if the question won't be sort of can they hold a side to something, but can they actually go on and kick, 100 points relatively consistently? I'm not too sure, especially with who they're missing.
What I will say before we move on to the North game is that I think, sure, Saints playing well so far, but I think the big question and problem is that the Dogs are have got some major worries with their team. They've got the players, I think, especially midfield, in the midfield, but it just doesn't feel like they're playing with any structure and a game plan. And they're just, I don't know. Clearly they don't know either because they've been convincingly beaten by Melbourne round 1 and Saints round 2. I mean, Hugo, what do you think about this?
I agree that the Dogs are in, like I said last week, I reckon they're in a fair bit of strife this year. Their midfield's good, but their forward and back line, the forward line's still too young to really do any damage, bar Norton. And their defence isn't good. Like, watching it on the weekend, it was shocking. Like, I couldn't believe how easily we kicked some goals. And, St Kilda's forward line is decimated at the moment.
Quite a few young players.
Yeah, I couldn't believe how poor they were in that department. But, the Dogs, to win a game, they have to rely on Norton kicking a bag.
Yeah.
It's the only way they're going to win games this year. So I think they're in a fair bit of strife.
And they've moved Bruce down to the back line as well.
Bruce actually did all right.
Yeah, he did, but there's another forward gone.
Yeah.
So
They just haven't got the list, like the numbers down back. They haven't got anyone who's great. Caleb Daniels sort of starting to drop off a little bit in his form that we saw a couple of years ago. Alex Keith, you can't really rely on him as your number one key defender. They've got some issues down back.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, no, we'll jump to the other Saturday night game, North and Freo, and North are sitting pretty 2-0. 3 out of the 4 teams with new coaches have gone 2-0. The other one being Essendon that we haven't mentioned already. But yeah, tight game, 1 point. A lot to unpack. Someone take it away.
I'll take it away. Yeah, I watched the game, and I mean North were playing very well for most of the game until Clarko got down the bench and started high-fiving players and celebrating. And I was thinking, this is good. I don't mind seeing this, passion with the players. But then as soon as that happened and the camera was on him, Freo all of a sudden started to come back. Goal every minute, and I thought I thought I would rather be in Freo's shoes than North's in the last 2 minutes of the game. The ball was in their inside 50, Freo's inside 50, and they were that close to at least getting a draw out of it. But I think the big question out of the game is, and we'll quickly go through everyone's opinion around the table, should have it been paid deliberate? I honestly think it should have. The ball was over the line when the siren went. The umpire just didn't call it, because usually it takes them about 3-4 seconds to say deliberate. I mean, it was definitely deliberate, no doubt about it. But yeah, and then it would have been a 45-metre kick on the boundary, tough shot. A point would have at least got
certain draw.
Yeah, a certain
and
draw
potential
probably.
win, yeah.
So, boys, what do you think? Deliberate or fair result?
Yeah, look, it's an interesting point. I think probably should have been paid, to be honest. Like the ball was in the air, but it was over the boundary line when the siren actually sort of rung out. But there was no question it was deliberate. The time just sort of ran out, and that was made for a interesting call. And I think a few of them said pay it, and then they said, well, siren's gone. So I can't say I watched all of the game, but I watched those bits, and I didn't really know what was going to happen there for a tiny bit. So a little bit fortunate to North, but they obviously by all accounts played pretty well most of the game, so they would have been stiff to lose.
Yeah, I thought it was deliberate. Although, having said that, Freo should have put that game to bed. Like, in terms, if you look at the team on paper, Freo should be winning that every day of the week. So, to be honest, I know it's a bit stiff, but just play better.
Fair enough, yeah.
And also, how good was Sheasel in that last 30 seconds just to clear the boundary line?
Gave a little toe poke. To keep,
toe poke off the line. That was awesome.
From the youngster. He's shown
he looks like a gun.
So much potential in the first 2 rounds. It's exciting. Blair?
Yeah, I think deliberate is probably the correct call. On a technicality, the boundary umpire hadn't called it was over yet because it had just went over. The central umpire can't call deliberate until the boundary umpire blows the whistle and says it's over. On a technicality, it is the right decision because the boundary ump hadn't blown the whistle when the siren went. So the central umpire's left in a tough spot. He was going to call deliberate 100%, but he's got to wait till it's given, the whistle's blown, that it's over. So look, I think it's a tough one. On a technicality, it was the right call by the AFL, and I think they come out and said that. But look, it's going to be deliberate. Give another. And to be honest, with the technology we have now, I probably would have liked to see them go back and say, look, it's over when the siren sounds. Yeah, the umpire hasn't called it yet, but it is over. That we've got the technology that we can work out. That's over. Human human ability can only call it as soon as the eye can see. So there's nothing wrong with that. The umpire didn't make the wrong decision. But I think you can look at it and clearly tell it's over the line before the siren. So they should have went back, I reckon, and deliberate is probably the correct call. They probably should be having a shot there. But yeah, tough one, really tough.
Yeah, well, we'll motor through the rest of these games. Sydney, 81-point win over Hawthorn. Essendon get it done. It was level at three-quarter time. They kicked the last 5 goals of the game to win by 28 points. And West Coast get their first win since halfway through 2022 with a win over an undermanned GWS. All right, well, I want to play a little game with you guys. It's called Are They the Real Deal? Obviously, it's round 2. There's a lot of teams who some of us surprised, others have been like, yeah, we've sort of expected it. But I'm going to give you a list of teams. Well, we'll go one by one, and I want you to say. I just want a quick word saying, are they premiership favourites? Are they the real deal, or is it just an overreaction? All right. So let's go around. Start off with you, Owen. First team on the list, Port Adelaide.
Pretenders.
Was?
Pretenders, yeah.
Yeah, Pretenders.
Pretenders inconsistent.
North Melbourne.
Oh, Pretenders.
Yeah, Pretenders, but they'll have a much better year than last year.
Overreaction. I don't think anyone's really.
Yeah, like they're developing,
Yeah,
so
just a good start to the year.
On the rise, overreaction.
Yeah. Well, now we've got the Tigers who had that win in Adelaide. Thoughts?
I say they're the real deal. I think definitely top 8, top 4 pushing. So yeah.
Yeah, I'd say contenders, but a little skeptical. I don't know what you actually mean by real deal, but I don't know if they're the real deal, but they're contenders.
Are they a chance, like, to say, play finals, or are they?
Oh, they're absolutely they're a chance. to play finals.
Premiership favourites. Just think of that as like top 4 teams, and then the real deal would be like top 8, and then pretenders are like 9 and below. Think of it like that.
Probably real deal then.
Yeah, real deal.
Yeah, contender, real deal definitely, and they're a genuine chance for the flag, I think.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna start to get a bit harder here. Essendon.
Pretenders, without a doubt.
Just overreaction. I reckon just on their season, but they're going all right. Yeah.
Yeah, overreaction.
Yeah, I'll go overreaction.
But
I think
that means pretenders, right?
It's overreaction's more like recognising they've won a couple of games that started okay, but are they I think it's just people getting a bit carried away.
I think Pretenders is when you think someone might make the 8, but they're not looking like.
Like I think
they are.
Pretenders is like a
Like no one expects
Port
Essendon to
Adelaide
make
is
it.
a pretender.
Okay, fair
I
enough.
feel like overreaction in some instances they might be a chance to like make finals, but not do anything. Not North, but I think Essendon a tiny chance to make.
So you reckon they're the
finals.
real deal?
I don't think they're the. No, I definitely don't think.
So they're a little deal.
They're not the real deal. They're just a little.
No,
they're
they're
a little deal. They're a little. I think they could. They're playing a much better brand of footy than last year, and potentially they make finals.
Didn't realise we were playing a game of deal or no deal. All right. How about the Saints? New system. Heightened system. Yeah.
Okay, I guess overreaction.
Yeah, probably overreaction.
Real deal.
I'm gonna say real deal. I'm gonna say
You're a sucker.
no. I like what they're doing. I think they
It's
probably
2 rounds.
I know, but it's 2 rounds for every team at the moment.
I
But
feel
still,
it should just be favourites, contenders,
it's
pretenders.
fine.
Because it's just like the real deal is just.
I didn't realise you were running this.
I'm
Gee,
not.
Connor,
But it should be favourites, contenders, pretenders.
Keep going,
That's what it
Manson.
normally is.
You should be answering them
Saints
properly.
just over the
it's
50-50
just
of real deal.
Yeah.
It's just
No
confusing.
backtracking,
It's
no
too many
backtracking.
options.
They're real deal, but just.
All right. Let's go to the D's. Obviously, they had a bit of a slip up on the weekend.
Prem favourites.
Real deal.
Real deal.
Contenders, real deal.
All right. Pies of 2-0. As it's been mentioned to me as before, some have seen them as premiership favourites. Are they the real deal?
Prem favourites.
Prem favourites.
Premiership favourites.
On sports bet, the premiership favourite, so that's good enough for me.
All right. Last one for you guys. this one, it's always been a bit controversial with this team. You know, they just missed out on the 8 last year. How are we looking at the Blues?
The real deal.
The real deal.
Overreaction.
Real deal.
Alrighty. There you go. Thank you for engaging in that game with me.
So you only selected about a handful of teams?
Yeah, handful of teams. Yeah.
Okay,
It's
fair
all right. It's tough to call being so early, but
That's why
I don't, it makes it tricky. But
I know.
uh,
A few of those
part of the
comments
fun.
could come back to
yeah,
bite us.
no,
but
it is. It is. It's,
Well,
it really
we
makes-
might do that maybe midway through this season.
Yeah, I
Who
think we're
knows?
2 rounds in.
Yeah.
Obviously, a lot of unknowns, but that's the way it's looking, I reckon.
I think all of us have gut instincts on every
What
side,
side,
side. But it's tough to know how it's going to go. But yeah, it's good little exercise.
All right. Now we're going to get into round 3. We're going to get into the tips and that. There is something that I have to announce in terms of the certainties. So Hugo, you did get yours incorrect, whereas everyone else got theirs correct. They all tipped the Swans to be their certainties.
What was Hugo's?
Hugo was the Gold Coast to beat Essendon. And he said for them to win by 10 goals, which so if you look at it, was an 88-point turnaround.
Chewy Drew's got a lot of questions to answer.
Yeah, more or less around your livelihood.
Oh, no, actually, just quickly on the Suns. They've been disappointing this year.
Yeah, they have.
I
So
thought
far.
they'd be top 8, sort of starting to push.
Pushing, yeah.
They're underplaying what their list can be.
Yeah. So obviously, this week we'll let you off the hook because you had no idea that that your livelihood was going to be at stake. But we would love to get your suggestions on the pod. On our socials. We're not going to go anything over the top because, like we said, that's probably saved for a later date. With
For one panel member in particular.
particular. So we won't go as harsh as what you put down for Owen's suggestions on if he does not win the Supercoach season. But there will be a bit of, let's say, a punishment or repercussions to play if you do not get your selections correct. So think wisely about your
Certainties.
about your certainties. But I'm going to go through the games. You give me your tips, and if they're going to be certainties, yell them out from there. We obviously start off with tonight's game. We've got the Dogs and Brisbane. The Dogs have got 4 inclusions, including Treloar and Lobb from injury. So definitely, some well-needed reinforcements to come back into the side. Will the Dogs go 0-3, or will they get their first win on the board?
Can I go through all games? Just quick fire? Or
If you
one at a
want,
time?
if you want to do things
Yeah,
different, go for it.
I'll just go quick fire. All right, Brisbane over Dogs. Friday night, I'm gonna go Collingwood over Richmond. Saturday, North over Hawthorn, Carlton over GWS. My certainty for the week, St Kilda over Essendon. I'm back in the Saints. So Hugo, I hope your boys get over Essendon because I'm sick of hearing flagged ons. Port over Crows, Geelong over Gold Coast, Melbourne over Sydney. That'll be a good game though. Sunday Arvo at the G, and Freo over West Coast at Optus Stadium. Yep, that's their one.
Alrighty. The Doggies will go zip 3. Brisbane get up, even though they're not that good, in Melbourne. But I'll back the Tigers. Have to back in my side. Obviously, we've got a few out, which doesn't help. I think we'd be a huge shout if we had everyone in. But anyway, happens. North Melbourne will go 3-0. They'll beat Hawthorn. Hawthorn's struggling a little bit. Carlton will beat GWS. St Kilda will probably beat Essendon, yeah.
Probably.
Well, I reckon it'll be reasonably tight. I reckon Adelaide will beat Port Adelaide. I reckon they'll put it all together this week. They've showed good signs, just haven't really played 4 quarters. Geelong will get their first win. I reckon Sydney will beat Melbourne on Sunday, Arvo. And I reckon Fremantle will win.
Have you got
unconvincingly.
certainty in that game? In any game?
Geelong
Alright.
over Gold Coast.
I'll tip the Lions over the Dogs. Collingwood over Richmond, North over Hawthorn, Giants over Carlton, St Kilda over Essendon, and get down with the game. 150th celebration. Get down.
I think I'm getting down actually.
Yeah, I think it's actually projected to be about a 70,000 crowd, which is quite impressive for a Saints game.
All the members.
Yeah, get down. Port over Adelaide, Cats over Suns, Swans over Melbourne, Freo over West Coast, and Freo as the Cerny.
Okay. Blair?
I'll kick it off. Brisbane over the Dogs. As much as I don't like to say it, Pies will probably get it done against us.
Whoa. You're tipping against your own team? Nah, you can't.
Because if I get my tip wrong, I'll live with that.
No.
I'll be a happy man.
Yeah,
if I
You
get
can't
it
tip
wrong.
against.
I don't know about that. I mean, I know it's Collingwood versus Richmond VFL.
You can't
but
tip
it
against your own
doesn't really
team.
matter.
Richmond
Just-
obviously have 4 players out this week. So.
Can I just do my tips, boys?
Yeah.
Or
River, mate.
is it all right?
Six or seven.
I'm not saying anything.
I'm
Yeah.
not crying.
do you mind
about
if I do
it.
my
It's
tips,
not
mate?
a-
I can't get over the fact that you tip against your own
Do you
team.
mind if I do my tips? Or?
Not really. You can stop after. You can stop after that
No,
one.
you can stop.
It's not an excuse if we lose, but it's a genuine, legitimate reason why we've actually
No.
lost because we've got a lot of good players
No.
out.
I don't tip with my heart like you boys.
We'll win though. We'll win.
So, but as I was saying, Brisbane to beat Dogs. I'll start from the top. Pies to beat Richmond. Yeah, North will win. Hawthorn are rubbish. The Blues get up. The Saints get up. Port Adelaide get up. Gold Coast roll the Cats.
Ooh, there we go.
And Owen will be 3.
That's not even funny.
Sydney to beat Melbourne. Just let me do my tips, brother.
Nah. After that stupid comment.
And Freo to beat West Coast. And my certainty will be Brisbane to beat the Dogs.
Nah, say Gold Coast, huh?
There we
Say it.
go.
Come on. You have balls.
Have a cry, mate.
There we go. 4 different teams.
You've done your tips, you coward.
How am I a coward? I've done them. I'm not hiding.
Someone turn his mic down.
I got control, mate. I can turn yours down. Okay, anyway.
Yep. So 4 different teams. So potential for someone to slip up. Much to my viewing pleasure. Well, yeah, those are the rounds. That's all.
Before we
That's
finish,
Get NBA.
we
or-
got no NBA.
Oh.
It's footy. We'll talk about NBA next week because playoffs is just around the corner. But we'll get into a bit of Supercoach talk before we wrap things up. Now, we got to talk about a few things here. We'll get into Hugo first. Now, look, I'm going to say it myself as well. I doubted him. And again, it's only 2 rounds in, but Hugo has won both of his games. First round was against Blair. Second round was against Connor.
To be fair, he hasn't beat much.
No,
We've been rubbish.
but Hugo's team's questionable, to say the least. And he beat Connor. And now, Connor, you posted up, I think, 1,555, which is an all-time low from you, mainly because Gorn was on Gorn's on your team and he got 0. But yeah, Hugo, how has it been on top of the... Well, are you top or
Second, I'm second.
on percentage?
Yeah.
Sorry. But how does it feel winning 2 out of 2?
I feel vindicated. I was laughed at. I was mocked. People were giving it to me on draft night. The man to my left in particular, in Rondo, absolutely gave it to me for a few of my picks.
I didn't.
But I did prevail over him on the weekend. To be honest, I can't believe how poorly you're doing at Supercoach, Connor. It's tragic. Not even I'd go that low. And I feel in form, and I feel like I might actually be the one to beat you this year, Owen, and
Okay, well.
force you to do a
See, that's
a
where
cheeky little
we draw.
punishment.
That's where we draw the line, okay? Because we'll look into the
These
round
are
3.
jabs from Hugo. These are absolute
Well,
jabs.
In my defence, my dad's a regular listener to the podcast, and he didn't take it kindly to Connor saying that I was delusional for picking St Kilda over Freo. And so when we won last week, he said, make sure you give it to Connor this week. So
I don't even know if I said you're delusional for
Oh,
picking
nah,
Saints
there's-
over
Mate,
Freo, but
it's
I said,
engraved in
have a
Greg's
listener.
mind.
I said he was delusional, but not necessarily for that reason. It's just a lot of
We are
different
talking about
viewpoints
an
that he's-
avid listener here, right? Who
Good
will
on-
know
Good on you,
something
Greg.
when he
Good on
hears
you.
it. So
Yeah, good on you, Greg. All right.
Greg says that, and Hugo, you have every right to give as much as you want to Connor.
In fairness, I've been disappointing. For the amount of preparation I put in, you should see the spreadsheets that I did. You know, it's disappointing to
It's gone
Put
down the drain, mate.
put a lot of effort in and not really get anything back. No bang for my buck sort of
Well,
situation.
this
but
week, Connor, you got a chance because you're against your own brother.
Gonna
Now
get
the
rolled.
the projected scores, Blair is at 1,780. Connor, you're at 1,712.
Yeah, that's all right. Look, I've had a stiff start to the year. I've had some injuries. You know, Gorney gets up last week and plays. We beat Hugo. We don't have to worry about anything else. I'm 1-1, and I'm back in with a chance. But look, I'll do a bit of work in the next few hours before the game starts to try to get it right. But I'm plugging a lot of holes there with my classic and with my draft. I've just I've had one line decimated every week, and it hurts. You know, I wish I could have 2 or 3 boost trades, but unfortunately you can't.
You can have as many as you want.
Yeah, not in the 1 week though.
Not in classic, but in draft you can. Mate.
Yeah, in draft.
No, I know draft, but like
Well,
people
we don't care about
Well,
classic.
speaking of trades, Blair,
have already got the
you,
pick, so.
you had a couple of trades this week. You brought in Will Setterfield and Tom Mitchell. You pinched them off me, mate, because they were on my list. But because you're top of the waiver order or whatever
for the week.
you snatched them off me. I wasn't too happy about that. But I did recover. I got Cripps and Tim Kelly instead, so I'm pretty happy with them as my backups on the bench. But Blair, you're also 0-2 the start of the year. Against Connor this week, how are you feeling?
Yeah, good about this week. Not so good about the season.
Do you want to go in the last round? Do you want to talk about the scores there?
We'll get to that. Preparation. I just want to talk about my 2 inclusions of Will Setterfield and Tom Mitchell, really. Look, preparation before the season, before the draft, look, I wish I could say I had spreadsheets. I did one, started to do one. Hugo laughed at it. I deleted it. I went into the draft with nothing.
Hugo rattled you big time. He
went into
rattled
the
you big
draft.
time.
Look, to be honest, even if I get a win this week and I'm 1-2, that's a win for me at the moment because, yeah, at the start of the season it was bleak.
You
Like,
just
when
need the 4 points to
names
get
were
going.
getting read out. I was on footy tables at the time, you know. I'm not proud of it, but I was. Look, so I got rolled to Hugo, kick off the year.
It can't get worse, I think.
That's as low as it gets. Well, maybe not now, but then to get rolled to I got rolled to you, Owen, and look, I mean, it was fairly charity. You only really had to show up. I also, like everyone, has been hammered with injury, but it happens, especially when like everyone on my bench is injured at the moment. So I don't really have anyone to come on. Boki, you know, Tommy Stewart, all these nerds getting injured, but look, I've put up 2 1500s. And this week projected 1,780. So I think after getting Tom Mitchell and Setterfield taking them from your pocket, which was intentional, I'm not gonna.
Oh, it was very intentional.
I did get pushed off a chair for it, so I've paid my dues. However, yeah, I think my team now. I did a lot of trades last week when I was top of the waiver. Really abused that, and I think now I could be on the straight and narrow. And I need to kick it off with a win against Connor this week. Need to. If I don't, I'm the only winless one in the comp.
Well, this is the week that kind of decides things. I mean, Hugo and I have won both of our 2 games. You guys haven't won any of your games. So it'll kind of separate the ladder a bit after round 3.
However, I just want to say that I think I could be a wild card this year. Yeah, I only have to finish in the 4. I can't miss the 4.
You make finals no matter what.
I can't miss the 4. So if I just put it together right time of year, you boys should be nervous. 'Cause
Oh,
I could go.
mate, I'm nervous, yeah.
I could go 3-7, and then I could for the season I could win 3 games.
All it takes
just
is for
put it together.
All it takes is for one bad round late in the year, and you have a clutch round, and there goes my hair.
And the colour.
I still feel on my chance. I think I performed reasonably well first game against.
Yeah, he did.
Owen. I just come up against a good opponent, but I think Hugo's been a little bit lucky this year. A lot's gone right. He selects Jason Horn-Francis, plays good 1 week, and now he's pretty average again the week later. So
Still beat you though.
yeah, I know, but I think
He had a terrible score.
a lot went right for you, mate, and your score was pretty average still. Mine was bad, nothing went right. So
I think yours was tragic.
Yeah, but
You've taken out Hugo Cluggage. He was bringing your team
yeah,
down.
I have taken him.
I had
out,
Luke
yeah.
Jackson in, boys, so it could be worse,
But look, I don't know. It's very early to come to conclusions, and I think I'm a chance, and I think I'm only going to get better from here on in.
I think you're no good at the game.
Hopefully I do. So we'll see how we go.
No, we'll look forward to it. But yeah, that's it for this episode. Thank you everyone for listening and watching. Make sure to follow us on our socials, and we'll see you all next week.
See you later.
Hopefully I'll have a better top 5.